SMCI has closed at 41.54, so we were trying to get out of this range of 44.23 and 40.71. We do peek over that for a couple of days, but then we get shot back down, gapping down and continuing all the way down to 41.54. Now, it's not ideal price action, and we've gotten in an obvious narrow descending range here after the bad unexpected earnings, right? Including earnings of 41 cents per share versus the 44 consensus, and the revenue of 5.76 billion versus 5.88 billion. So missed that a bit, guys, which led to this big gap down and continuation. And now most recently, we've had other things affecting the stock. So this most recent gap down and red day move stems off a fresh disclosure of material weaknesses in its internal financial reporting controls. So reigniting investors' concerns about transparency and accuracy, that's what pretty much triggered this renewing selling pressure, with the stock dropping roughly 5 to 5.5%. Meanwhile, we do still hold above that 40.71. We do just get back down within this chop range that we saw here once we broke out of that long-term descending range. So we're back within that range after we try to get that attempt move up, reclaiming that 44.23 as support. Doesn't go to plan. We have some bad fundamentals gapping us down and continuing. So today we're going to analyze if we should be expecting to come back down to this floor, or if we should be trending back upwards, retesting that 44.23 and actually breaking out of this descending range here. All right, guys, so on the weekly time frame, first things first, a lot of things happening with SMCI fundamentally, right? So that first initial gap down, fundamentals, missed earnings. This gap down we just see now, fundamentals. So we're going to be analyzing the technicals, but keep in mind, if fundamentals keep messing with SMCI, it's not going to be good for the stock. They definitely got to get some good news coming in, some good fundamentals to see some nice long-term upside. I mean, we still are within the range of this broken out resistance, stemming off that high of 122.90. So that is all-time highs. We're going on the monthly, showing a better perspective. We've never hit that point, not even close. So in the past, we do build up some energy, get into a pennant, break out very cleanly, no selling pressure really whatsoever, buyers in that full control. It's where we stay pretty volatile. We find an ascending support, meet up with this longer term resistance as it's created at that point, and then we flush all the way down really to 17.31. We see a couple ranges where they try to catch it and trend stock upwards, but we do have harsh resistances at that 62.32, as well as other macro resistances. So we do get shot down to that 17.31, but then we find this support level. So we start meeting up with this support, where this could be a factor in the future, guys. I mean, if we keep on trending downwards, this support could be stretching out, right, guys? If you look here, if we're stretching this support level out. So long-term kind of support could be coming into play sooner than later, right? Doesn't mean the stock has to flush this level, but definitely a good marker to keep in mind if stock does keep going to the downside and remains in that narrow range. But anyways, guys, we did find that support after bouncing off 17.31, leading us to a breakout, kind of come down, find that support once again. Then we try to prematurely break that long-term resistance as well as that 62.32. So we see last time kind of gave us a little bit of trouble as we tried trending back upwards from that bad movement to the downside. Keep on flushing downwards, and here as we test that exact range, flush downwards. But what do we meet back up with? That ascending support, which is holding up very, very nicely in this type of range. And then we kind of trend to that resistance again and taking the drawings off. Instead of seeing a huge movement to the downside like all the volatility that we've seen here, we get a smaller move down and kind of hold tight. So we're just holding tight. And then we finally get that break of that resistance, leading to a nice move up to that 62.32, which gave us a bit of trouble. That's the most recent kind of, top that we've seen, and that led to this big move to the downside as well as bad earnings. So tough price action recently, but all in all, we still are on an overall uptrend. If we're counting that bottom of 17.31, we have been trending up on this ascending type of profile. So that marker could be coming in handy if price does keep on trending to the downside. We do see that bad earnings really did engulf a lot of weeks of price action. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of price action completely engulfed by this red engulfing gap down bar. Right, trending back to the daily, we did predict that we did find a bottom at that 40.71. We predicted it would make a little bit of a V type of structure, kind of double bottoming, right? This wasn't exactly a bottom, but lots of chop over here. Finding that 40.71 holding up very nicely, get that huge move to the upside and breakout, shopping around here before moving to the upside. But given the bad fundamentals that we have seen recently, guys, it's always possible that we do trend a bit further down. I mean, we still are in the sharp descending bearish range. So as long as we stay within this range and continue on a downtrend, it's not looking great. It is worth noting, though, that 40.71 has been very, very good support in the past, right? We see that held up very nice, really leading to that final break of this long-term stubborn resistance that we couldn't get out of for a very long time. So that's worth noting. If the bears continue to stay in this control, guys, definitely look for that bounce of 40.71. It's definitely possible that we find that support once more, squeeze out of this little descending range that we have here, retesting that 44.23, and finally trying to get over that and beat the last highs that we have here, as that was a bad gap down and rejection. So that's what I'd be looking for, guys. And if we did trend lower, if the bears did continue to stay in that control and this wasn't the bottom and we continue to go to the downside staying within this range, watch for us to meet back up with that ascending support that has been very, very reactive. I mean, every single time we've hit that, it's held up. It hasn't failed us once, guys. We see that it kind of gets created around this level, come back up, tap it a few times, get that move to the upside every single time. So if we did end up trending lower, that would be the bottom that you would be looking at. Watching for another bounce here, continuing to the upside in that overall uptrend. Pretty neutral on SMCI at this point, but I still think there is nothing to completely freak out about. We are still in an overall uptrend and an overall ascending motion. From that 62.32, guys, we have gone down quite a bit, right? If we're measuring that out, it's around like 35%, 35%. It's not great, but keep in mind, this has been a very solid support in the past, and that ascending support has held up every single time that we've hit it. But you definitely want to see the buyers break this narrow descending range to see more upside and retest that 44.23, getting over that, creating support on that, starting to fill this large gap here. All right, guys, on the hourly, we see a better perspective of that range that we got in. So we gap down. The sellers do continue. We are in a descending motion here. The buyers try to prematurely break that, but then that's when you see the gap down, continuing back within this range. And now what you want to be looking for, like we mentioned on the daily, is a support level here to hold of 40.71. Trend back up to the ceiling, try to break that right there, and trend back up to 44.23, where you want to have that as support, and then trend to the upside where you want to start filling that gap. So pretty self-explanatory. I mean, sellers are in that control of the stock. You definitely want to see fundamentals start to get a little bit better, as we have had a lot of bad news, had a lot of bad reportings, but all in all, from technicals alone, definitely want to see us break this descending range. We do have a couple of major points that we're looking out at, that 40.71, as well as that ascending support that's held up in the long term. So that's all I got for you guys for SMCI. Pretty self-explanatory here, guys. I mean, not great for the buyers, but still a good amount of data points to go off of, and all is not lost. So for my long-term holders, watch those key levels that I mentioned in this video, as if we do trend below that strong support level of that 40.71 and then below that ascending support, there is a bit of room to the downside, as we have been on a pretty nice ascending profile for a bit here. So if both those break, wouldn't be the best price action to see for my long-term holders. For the short-term, guys, we're in a descending motion. Sellers are in that ultimate control. I wouldn't be feeling super good about the short-term unless we do break this descending notion that we are in and reclaim that 44 as support. That's where you could be seeing a bit of a squeeze-like effect after getting that volatile move out of this type of structure here and looking to fill that gap. So let me know your price predictions in the comments below, both short and long term for SMCI. I appreciate you guys watching the entire video. If you enjoyed and want to see more, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, guys, trade smart. I will see you all in the next one.